What if I told you that every hour you've spent worrying has been completely unnecessary? Right now, in this very moment, nothing terrible is happening. Your heart is beating, you're breathing, you're safe, and yet your mind is somewhere else entirely, replaying yesterday's mistakes, rehearsing tomorrow's disasters, creating suffering where none actually exists. Here's the truth the Buddha discovered 2,500 years ago, and it's going to sound almost offensive. You are not being attacked by life, you're being held hostage by your own thoughts. 3 in the morning, eyes wide open, heart racing, mind spinning through the same loop. What if my health fails? What if I'm forgotten? What if there's not enough time, not enough money, not enough love? The room is quiet. The danger? It's entirely imaginary, and yet you lie there, prisoner to worry, while precious hours slip away. If you're over 60, you've probably spent more nights like this than you can count. You've survived wars, losses, heartbreaks, and impossibilities. And yet the worry never quite stops, does it? It just finds new things to chase. But what if that's not how it has to be? In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you something that could change everything. Worry is not reality. It's not protection. It's a habit of the mind, and the Buddha taught us exactly how to break free from it. Not by solving every problem, but by understanding what worry actually is. And when you see it clearly, something miraculous happens. Real life, the kind with quiet joy and deep peace, finally begins. The present moment is the only place life exists. There's a strange thing that happens as we grow older. We've accumulated so many yesterdays that the mind can't help but replay them. That conversation from 30 years ago, where you said the wrong thing, the choice you made that led somewhere difficult, the person you loved who slipped away. And then there's tomorrow, always tomorrow, with its uncertainties and fears. Will the doctor's appointment bring bad news? Will your children call? Will there be enough? The Buddha saw this clearly when he taught that most suffering doesn't come from what is happening, but from our thinking about what happened or what might happen. The mind lives everywhere except here. It dwells in regret, in anticipation, in endless loops of if only and what if. But life? Life only unfolds in the now. Think about this moment, right now. Are you safe? Is your breath moving in and out? Can you feel the chair beneath you, the air on your skin? In this actual moment, not the story your mind is telling, but this lived experience, is anything terrible occurring? More often than not, the answer is no. The suffering lives in the thoughts, not in the reality. There's a Buddhist teaching about a monk who was asked, "What do you do all day?" He replied simply, "I walk, I eat, I sit, I sleep." The questioner was confused. "But everyone does that. What makes you different?" The monk smiled. "When I walk, I walk. When I eat, I eat. When I sit, I sit. When I sleep, I sleep." Most people, he explained, are walking while thinking about eating, eating while planning tomorrow, sitting while reliving yesterday. They are never fully where they are. When you come back to the breath, to the sensation of your heartbeat, to the sounds in the room around you, something shifts. The worried thoughts may still be there, but you realize they're just that, thoughts, clouds passing across the sky of your awareness. And beneath them, always, is this moment, this breath, this beating heart. And in this moment, you discover something unexpected, a quiet joy that appears simply because you've finally returned to reality. The mind will protest, of course. It will say, "But I have real problems. I can't just ignore them." And that's true. You do have challenges to face. But here's what the Buddha understood. Worrying about a problem is not the same as addressing it. In fact, worry clouds your ability to respond wisely. When you're fully present, you can see clearly what needs to be done now. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. And everything else, it's just the mind creating suffering where none needs to exist. Worry is the mind's failed attempt to control the uncontrollable. Let me ask you something. How many hours of your life have you spent worrying about things that never happened? How many nights have you lain awake rehearsing conversations you'll never have, imagining disasters that never arrived? If you're like most people, the answer is too many to count. The mind has convinced itself that worry serves a purpose. It whispers, "If I think about this hard enough, I can prevent it. If I prepare for every possibility, I'll be safe." This is the survival instinct gone astray. Yes, our ancestors needed to scan for danger, to plan, to anticipate, but that ancient mechanism has become a tyrant in the modern mind, especially as we age and face the uncertainties that come with these later years. The Buddha taught something radical about this. He said that suffering arises from tanha, often translated as craving or attachment, but at its root, it means the desire to control. We want life to be a certain way. We need people to act as we hope. We demand that outcomes match our expectations. And when life, as it always does, moves in its own direction, we suffer. Think about what you worry about most. Underneath the specific content, money, health, relationships, what's really there? It's the feeling of helplessness, the terror of not being in control. You can't control whether your body will betray you. You can't control whether people will stay or leave. You can't control what happens after you're gone. And that lack of control feels unbearable, so the mind does the only thing it knows. It worries. It churns and plans and rehearses, desperately trying to grip what cannot be held. But here's the truth the Dharma reveals. You were never in control, and you never will be. The only thing you truly control is your response to this moment. Right now, not the future, not other people, not even your own body as it ages, just your attention, your intentions, your actions in this present breath. There's a beautiful Zen story about a farmer whose horse ran away. His neighbor said, "What terrible luck," the farmer replied, "Maybe." The next day, the horse returned with 3 wild horses. "What wonderful luck," said the neighbor. The farmer again said, "Maybe." Then the farmer's son tried to ride one of the wild horses and broke his leg. "Terrible luck. Maybe." Then soldiers came to draft young men for war, but they passed over the son because of his broken leg. Wonderful luck. And the farmer, once more, simply said, "Maybe." This story captures the wisdom of non-control. We spend so much energy labeling events as good or bad, trying to force life to conform to our preferences, when life is simply unfolding according to causes and conditions far beyond our understanding. When you accept that you can influence but never dominate, something miraculous happens. The exhausting burden of trying to control everything falls away. Peace begins not when all your problems are solved, but when you stop demanding that they be solved on your timeline, in your way. Everything you fear is temporary by nature. One of the most liberating truths the Buddha taught is this: everything changes, nothing lasts forever. This is the doctrine of anicca, impermanence. And while it might sound like a sad teaching, everything you love will fade. Everything solid will dissolve. It's actually the key to freedom from worry. Why? Because every fear you carry is based on the illusion that suffering, once it arrives, will be permanent. When anxiety grips your chest, it feels like it will never end. When you imagine a terrible outcome, your mind convinces you that you'll be destroyed by it, that you'll never recover. But think back through your life. How many times have you been certain you couldn't survive something? A heartbreak that shattered you, a loss that seemed unbearable, a crisis that felt like the end. And yet, here you are, still breathing, still capable of joy, of tenderness, of love. Nothing lasts, not the good and not the bad. That sleepless night when worry consumed you, it passed. That period of grief that felt endless, you moved through it. That fear that gripped you last week, where is it now? The Buddha wasn't being pessimistic when he taught impermanence. He was offering you a rope to pull yourself out of the quicksand of anxiety. I once spoke with a woman named Dorothy, 82 years old, who told me she'd been a chronic worrier her entire life. I worried about my children, my marriage, my money, my health. I worried about everything, she said. But you know what I realized? All those things I was so terrified of, most of them never happened. And the ones that did, I survived them. Every single one. This is the wisdom that comes with age, if we allow it. You have evidence, decades of it, that you are more resilient than your worries would have you believe. You have proof that even the darkest night eventually gives way to dawn. The worry tells you a story about permanence, that this pain, this fear, this difficulty will define your life forever. But impermanence whispers back, this too shall pass. And here's the deeper truth. When you truly understand impermanence, you stop clinging so desperately to outcomes. You hold life more lightly. You love without demanding that love remain unchanged. You enjoy without needing to capture and freeze every good moment. You face difficulty knowing it's not the final word. This is what the Buddha meant when he said that understanding impermanence leads to peace. Not because you stop caring, but because you stop demanding that the river of life flow backward. The more you resist worry, the stronger it becomes. There's a phrase you might have heard: what you resist persists. And nowhere is this more true than with worry and anxiety. When the anxious thoughts arrive, and they will, because you're human, what do? If you're like most people, you fight them. You think, why am I worrying again? I shouldn't feel this way. Stop it. Just stop it. And the more you push against the anxiety, the tighter it grips you. The Buddha taught something counterintuitive about working with difficult mind states. He said not to fight them, but to observe them. Like watching rain through a window. You see it, you acknowledge it, but you don't try to stop it or become lost in it. You simply witness. This is where the practice of mindfulness becomes transformative. When worry arises, instead of wrestling with it or believing its stories, you pause. You notice, there's the worried mind again. You feel where it lives in your body. The tightness in your chest, the churning in your belly, the tension in your jaw. And you stay with those sensations with gentle curiosity, not judgment. What happens when you do this? The worry begins to soften, not because you've defeated it, but because you've stopped feeding it with resistance. Anxiety feeds on two things: believing the worried thoughts are absolute truth and fighting against them. When you do neither, when you simply observe with kindness, the anxiety loses its grip. There's a traditional Buddhist teaching about the second arrow. The Buddha said that when you're struck by an arrow, it hurts. That's the first arrow, the inevitable pain of being human. But then we shoot ourselves with a second arrow, our reaction to the pain. Why did this happen to me? I can't handle this. This is unbearable. That second arrow, our resistance and judgment, often causes more suffering than the first. With worry, the first arrow might be a genuine concern. Your health, your finances, a relationship, that's real. But then come the second arrows. I'm weak for worrying. I should be over this by now. Why can't I just be calm like other people? These judgments about your worry create a battlefield in your mind. The Buddha's invitation is simple but profound. Put down the second arrow. When you notice worry, meet it with compassion. Of course you're worried. You're human. You care about things. That's okay. In that gentle acknowledgement, something shifts. The worry isn't a monster anymore. It's just a message from a mind trying, in its clumsy way, to protect you. And when you see it clearly for what it is, just thoughts and sensations, not ultimate reality, it begins to lose its power. This doesn't mean the worry disappears forever. It means you stop turning it into a war. And in that space of non-resistance, you discover you have more peace available than you ever imagined. The true root of worry is attachment. If you look deeply beneath any worry, you'll find something the Buddha spoke of often: attachment. This is the grasping, the clinging to things being a certain way. You're attached to your health remaining stable. You're attached to having enough money. You're attached to being needed, remembered, loved. And because everything is impermanent and beyond full control, every attachment becomes a source of anxiety. Let me be clear. The Buddha wasn't saying you shouldn't care about anything. He wasn't advocating for cold indifference. The teaching of non-attachment is subtle and often misunderstood. It doesn't mean you stop loving people or stop having preferences. It means you hold everything more lightly. You love without demanding that the person never change or leave. You enjoy comfort without needing to clutch it desperately. You care deeply, but you don't make your peace dependent on outcomes. Think of it this way. Imagine holding a bird in your hand. If you grip it too tightly, trying to make sure it never flies away, you'll crush it. If you hold your hand open gently, the bird may stay, or it may fly, but either way, your hand remains unharmed. Attachment is the tight grip. Non-attachment is the open hand. The tighter you grip, the more fragile you become. When your entire sense of security depends on certain things remaining exactly as they are, every small change becomes a threat. Your grown child moves far away, devastation. Your routine is disrupted, anxiety. Your role in the world shifts, panic. But when you practice holding life with open hands, you can still love, still care, still prefer certain outcomes, but you're not shattered when things change, because you know that change is the nature of life itself. I knew a man named William who had built his entire identity around being a provider. He worked for 45 years, proud of supporting his family, proud of his role. When he retired, he fell into a deep depression. "Who am I if I'm not working?" he asked. His attachment to that identity, to being needed in that specific way, caused immense suffering when that role ended. Through working with Buddhist teachings, he began to see that he wasn't his job, his role, or any single identity. He was the awareness that witnessed all these roles come and go. And in that understanding, he found freedom. He could still be generous, still contribute, still care for others, but his peace no longer depended on being the provider. He had loosened the grip. This is what letting go means in the Buddhist sense. It's not giving up on life or becoming passive. It's shifting your center from "I need this specific thing to be okay" to "I am okay, even as things change." It's the difference between conditional peace, "I'll be happy when things go my way," and unconditional peace, "I can find stillness even in the midst of uncertainty." The river of life keeps flowing. Clinging to rocks in that river only creates suffering. But when you release your grip and learn to flow with the current, you discover a strange paradox. You're more alive, more present, more capable of genuine joy than you ever were when you were desperately trying to control everything. Peace is a practice, not a destination. Here's a belief that causes endless suffering. I'll finally be at peace when my problems are solved, when the kids are settled, when my health stabilizes, when I have enough money saved, when I know for certain what will happen. We convince ourselves that peace is waiting on the other side of our current difficulties. But the Buddha taught something different. He taught that peace is not found after chaos ends. Peace is discovered within chaos, through practice. Life will never stop presenting challenges. Even in the last years, new uncertainties will arise. The question isn't, how do I make my life problem-free? But rather, how do I cultivate peace regardless of circumstances? This is why the Dharma is called a practice. Peace is not a one-time achievement, like earning a degree or reaching a destination. It's a discipline, returned to again and again. It's choosing, in this moment, to come back to your breath when worry pulls you into the future. It's choosing acceptance over resistance. It's choosing to pause before reacting. These small, repeated choices, made thousands of times over a lifetime, create the ground in which peace can grow. Think of it like tending a garden. You don't plant seeds once and expect eternal blooms. You water, you weed, you tend daily. Some days the garden flourishes, some days pests arrive, or storms damage the plants. But the gardener doesn't abandon the garden because of one difficult season. They simply keep tending, keep caring, keep showing up. Your inner peace works the same way. The practice isn't complicated, but it requires commitment. When you wake in the night with worried thoughts, you practice. Notice the thoughts, feel your breath, return to this moment. When someone says something that triggers fear, you practice. Pause. Observe the reaction. Choose your response rather than being swept away. When you catch yourself catastrophizing about the future, you practice. Acknowledge the fear. Remind yourself that this moment is actually okay. Let the story go. Over time, and I mean real time, months and years of gentle practice, something remarkable happens. The worried thoughts still arise because you're human, but they don't hook you as deeply. You recognize them more quickly. You return to presence faster. The peace you find isn't the absence of difficulty, it's the ability to remain grounded within difficulty. Like a tree with deep roots that bends in the storm but doesn't break, the Buddha often spoke of his teachings as a raft to cross the river of suffering. But you have to actually get on the raft. You have to paddle. Reading about peace, thinking about letting go, understanding impermanence intellectually, these are not enough. The transformation happens in the doing, in the daily choice to practice even when it feels like nothing is changing. And here's what nobody tells you. Some days the practice feels impossible. Some days the worry wins. You spend hours lost in anxious thoughts, and you think, I'm failing. I'll never get this. But even that judgment is just another thought to notice and release. The practice isn't about perfection. It's about beginning again, and again, and again. Each moment offers a fresh start. Each breath is an invitation to return. You are not your worries. You are the awareness that observes them. This might be the most important insight the Buddha offered, and it's also the most difficult to grasp at first. You are not your thoughts. You are not your worries. You are not the voice in your head that narrates your life with commentary, judgment, and fear. You are the awareness that notices all of this. Most people believe they are their thoughts. When the mind whispers, "You might fail," they feel it as truth. When it says, "You're not enough," they believe it. When it spins stories of disaster, they become those stories. But the Buddha taught something radically different. Thoughts are like actors on a stage. Some are wise, some fearful, some angry, some kind. They come and go, play their parts, and exit. You are not any of these actors. You are the audience, the space in which all the drama unfolds. When you begin to observe your thoughts instead of identifying with them completely, something shifts. You start to notice patterns. Oh, there's that worry about money again. That one comes up every Sunday night. You see thoughts as events in awareness, not as fundamental truth. And in that seeing, you create space, the space where freedom lives. Here's a simple practice that reveals this. Sit quietly for a moment. Notice whatever thoughts are present. Now ask yourself, who is noticing these thoughts? There's a thought, and there's something aware of the thought. That awareness, that witnessing presence, is closer to your true nature than any passing thought could ever be. This doesn't mean you ignore your thoughts or pretend they don't matter. It means you stop being tyrannized by them. When worry arises, instead of thinking "I am anxious," you observe. Anxiety is present. Do you feel the difference? One makes you a victim of the mental state. The other makes you the spacious awareness in which the state appears. The Buddha described this as seeing the sky, not just the clouds of worry, fear, sadness, anger. They pass through the sky of your awareness. Sometimes the clouds are thick and dark. Sometimes they're wispy and light. But the sky? The sky remains unchanged, vast and open, whether cloudy or clear. You are that sky, not the weather, but the space in which all weather appears. This understanding brings profound relief, because if you're not your worries, they can't destroy you. They can be uncomfortable, yes. They can be compelling, but they're just visitors, passing through. And when you stop fighting them, stop identifying with them, they move through more quickly. Like a river that flows freely when there are no dams blocking its path. You can feel deeply without drowning. You can care deeply without breaking. Because the part of you that is aware, that witnessing consciousness, is always okay, always steady, always here. It's the part that noticed your first worry as a child, and it's the same awareness noticing worries now, decades later. Thoughts have changed. The body has changed. Circumstances have changed. But awareness? Awareness simply is. This is what the Buddha meant when he said, "Be a lamp unto yourself." Not your thoughts, not your fears, not the opinions of others, but the clear, present awareness that you truly are. When you rest in that awareness, worry loses its grip, not because you've defeated it, but because you've remembered something deeper and more fundamental than any passing mental state. Your true nature is like the ocean depths, calm, vast, unchanging, while your thoughts are the waves on the surface, constantly moving, but never disturbing the deep water below. You are not the waves. You are the ocean. Closing. When you stop worrying, life begins. So here we are, having walked together through these teachings, and perhaps you're wondering, how do I actually live this? How do I stop worrying? The answer, my friend, is both simpler and more challenging than you might expect. You don't stop worrying by force. You don't wage war on your anxious mind. You stop worrying by remembering, again and again, where life actually exists. Not in the past you replay, not in the future you fear. Right here, right now, in this breath, this heartbeat, this moment of being alive. Worry is not imposed on you by life. It's created by a mind desperately trying to control what cannot be controlled. But control, as we've seen, is an illusion. You were never in charge of outcomes, of other people, of the future. You only ever had this moment, this choice, this breath. And when you finally accept that, truly accept it, not just intellectually but in your bones, the exhausting burden of trying to manage the universe falls away. The Buddha didn't promise a life without difficulty. He promised a path through difficulty, a way to meet whatever arises with clarity, compassion, and presence. And that path begins with a simple practice. Notice when you've left the present moment. Notice when worry has carried you into imagined futures or replayed pasts. And then, gently, without judgment, come back. To the breath, to the body, to the sound of rain, the warmth of sunlight, the feeling of your feet on the floor. Each time you return, you're practicing freedom. Each time you observe a worried thought without becoming it, you're remembering your true nature. Each time you choose acceptance over resistance, you're watering the seeds of peace. This is not dramatic, this is not glamorous, but it is transformative. Think of all the moments you've missed because worry held your attention hostage. The sunset you didn't see because you were lost in thought. The conversation you weren't fully present for because your mind was elsewhere. The simple pleasure of a warm cup of tea that went unnoticed because you were rehearsing tomorrow's difficulties. Real life, the kind that nourishes and sustains, was happening all around you, but worry kept you locked in the prison of your own mind. But here's the beautiful truth. It's never too late to begin. This very moment is an opportunity. Right now, as you read or hear these words, you can pause, you can take one conscious breath. You can notice what's actually here, in this present experience. And in that noticing, you touch something real, something alive, something that worry can never reach. The Dharma teaches that peace was never missing. You just couldn't feel it because your attention was elsewhere. Worry isn't a storm you must weather until calm arrives. Worry is the activity of a mind that has forgotten how to rest in what is. And the moment you remember, the moment you return to presence, peace is already here. So, what will you do with the time you have left? Will you spend it in the endless loop of what if? Or will you finally allow yourself to simply be here, awake to the gift of this breath, this day, this precious, fleeting, beautiful moment? Will you continue to let worry narrate your life, or will you reclaim your attention and discover the spacious awareness you truly are? Every breath is a chance to choose. Every moment is an invitation to return, and each return is not failure, it's the practice itself. Because real life, the kind worth living, doesn't begin when your problems are solved or your worries finally quiet. Real life begins the moment you stop demanding that this moment be different and start meeting it exactly as it is. The Buddha taught that the path to freedom is always available, always here, always now. Not in some distant future when you've mastered everything, not after you've solved every problem or healed every wound. Here, in this breath, this heartbeat, this living, present moment. So breathe, notice, return, and in that simple practice, discover that peace was never something to achieve. It was always something to remember, always something to come home to, always here, waiting patiently for you to stop running and simply arrive. If this message has touched something in you, I invite you to share your reflections in the comments below. How does worry show up in your life? What helps you return to presence? Let's walk this path together, learning from each other's wisdom and experience. And if you'd like to continue exploring these ancient teachings for modern life, please subscribe to this channel. Each week, we gather here to remember what matters, to let go of what doesn't, and to discover the peace that was always within us. Thank you for walking this journey with me today. May you find the courage to release what you cannot control. May you discover the freedom of being fully present. And may you know, in your deepest heart, that real life, the life you've been seeking, begins the moment you stop worrying and simply arrive here, in this sacred, ordinary, beautiful now.